Hey y'all, welcome to the channel. Today we're checking out how England's Football League is breaking the sport.
On February 3rd, 2023, in London, the English football club, Chelsea, played a home game against a rival, Fulham. The game ended in a scoreless draw, but Fulham's fans were so excited they stayed to chant after the game.
What a waste of money.
These words were in articles all over the world because in just 1 month, Chelsea had spent €329 million on new players, more money than all the clubs in the French, Italian, German, and Spanish football leagues spent combined.
Holy crap. This video is almost a year old, so I'm sure it's probably a little outdated, but it's really the only informational video that I could find about Euro 2024. I think it's going on right now, and it looks like here's England. They're in Group C, team number 1. I don't know what that means, really, but I guess they have 2 more games to play. Is that right? They had a 0-0 score in one game, but according to this, it looks like they've had 2 draws, 0 losses, which is great. I don't really understand how this works. I just want someone to tell me what's going on. I just need a little video of somebody saying this is what's happening. Wait, who's this?
The Euro 2024 group stages have now finally wrapped up, and there were some iconic moments and amazing games that happened. But now, I think it's only right to make my predictions for the Euro 2024 knockout stages. And trust me, you're gonna want to stay until the end, because there's gonna be upsets in my predictions. Why? Because I love being bold. So let's get straight into it. Let's start off with the first round of 16 game between Switzerland and Italy. And this game's stages and Romania.
Okay.
Let's now move on to the following round of 16 tie between England and Slovakia. And let's talk about England first, because as one of the favorites to go on and win the competition, they've looked pretty underwhelming. In fact, I'd confidently say that they've probably been the most boring big national team at the Euros. Sure, they got a 1-0 win against Serbia thanks to Jude Bellingham, and even though Serbia fought themselves back into the match, 3 points is 3 points. But that's been England's only 3 points in the group stages, because after that, they drew to Denmark 1-1, and then drew to Slovenia out of all national teams 0-0. And no disrespect to Slovenia, they've been punching above their weight in this tournament, but it sounds like England should be winning this game, respectfully, especially with the talent that England has. And I know Gareth Southgate, who's a mid-manager by the way this tournament and only went on and proved it, was experimenting with his lineups, like putting Phil Foden on the left and Trent Alexander-Arnold in the midfield for 2 out of the 3 games. But still, with this much talent at your disposal, you should be getting 9 points in this group. For crying out loud, bro, this guy's making a Ballon d'Or nominee, Jude Bellingham, look like a Sunday League level player, man. And how the hell did he only decide to use Cole Palmer in the 3rd game and not the others? He's arguably the hottest Premier League player heading into the Euros. Gareth Southgate, man, he never fails to surprise me. While Slovakia, on the flip side of things, have actually looked quite good. They had one of the biggest upsets in Euro history after defeating Belgium in the opening match 1-0, which just displayed that they didn't show up for vibes like I initially thought. They were here for business. But their form dropped off a little bit in the next 2 games, with them losing to Ukraine 2-1 despite getting the first goal, and then drawing 1-1 to Romania, the group leaders actually, and controversially, because that penalty call, I felt like it was outside the box, but we'll keep it pushing. Regardless, Slovakia's been looking pretty good. That's my point. Thing is though, Slovakia are not beating England. I'm sorry. England have not looked good whatsoever, and Southgate sucks, but I think England's overall talent will bail them out again, and I'm gonna go for a 1-0 win in extra time for the English. They got this one for sure.
So England should be good. Sounds like the manager Southgate guy is maybe doing a little too much experimenting with stuff. But you gotta do that sometimes, right? You gotta feel it out.
And against Switzerland, the English will win 2-1. Now for the semifinals, we got Germany versus Portugal and England versus Austria. Then for England versus Austria, man, England are getting a breeze to the final, huh? Just like back in Euro 2020. And yet again, I got England doing the exact same thing and making the final. And I think they'll beat Austria 2-1 in extra time. Sorry, Austria. I would not mind seeing y'all in the final though, so feel free to prove me wrong. And now for the Euro 2024 final, we got Germany versus England. And if you guys have been watching my videos, you would know that this is the exact same final I had in my OG prediction video for this competition. No cap, it's kind of looking like my prediction is going to be right. But anyways, who do I got winning in this final? Well, I'm going to stick with my original gut. And I think England are going to pull off the upset in the final to beat Germany 1-0. Yeah, I know, England have not played good whatsoever. But I feel like it's only inevitable that they're going to eventually win an international competition. Just like Man City did with the Champions League after trying for numerous times. So I think England are going to be the Euro 2024 champions. Alright. As the knockout stages fly by, my predictions might change. Anyways, I appreciate y'all for watching this entire video. And if you have made it this far,
I didn't watch the entire thing. Thank you for your input, Nabuto. So there's a lot of talent on the team. So this is different than the year, like this is football within England, but Euro 2024 is about all of England. How does that work? I'm confused. I'm kind of hoping for some general information about how it all works. You know? Let's see.
The scary truth about England's Euro 2024 chances that nobody
young
is
players.
noticing. There's a lot of noise around the England national
These
team.
children.
The coach's squad selection for Euro 2024.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about over the next couple of weeks. I'd have loved it to have been cleaner and more definitive, but it's not the situation we're in.
And the nation's chances at winning the whole thing for the first time in their entire history. And that noise has gotten even louder following their loss to Iceland in their last warm-up game before the Euros. Because of that game, a lot of people seem to think that this is going to be yet another disappointing outing for the Three Lions. The scary truth about England's Euro 2024 chances that nobody is noticing. Well, first of all, chill, guys. Of course, England losing their final game before the Euros is not great. But remember that Argentina failed to win their 2 warm-up games before the Copa America in 2021, and they went on to win the whole thing.
There's still hope, y'all.
Write England off at your own risk. Basically, we all need to remember that warm-up games are friendlies, so players will hardly give their 100%.
They don't want to get hurt.
They're so close to the tournament that nobody wants to pick up an injury that will rule them out. So everybody plays with some kind of caution, and that's what
Pulling
we
the
saw
punches.
with England.
Pulling the kick
Meanwhile,
sessions.
Iceland, who didn't qualify for the Euros, gave their all because they weren't preserving themselves for anything. And, you know, it's just a test game. A lot will certainly change when the competition starts proper. For example, Ramsdale surely won't be playing at the Euros. Saka and Bellingham will probably be starting. And Kane surely won't be coming off when the team needs a goal. So it's a little too simplistic to
Has that
judge
been
their
happening?
chances at the tournament by that
I don't
one
know.
game. And the truth is that loss doesn't change the fact that England still remain as one of the favourites to win the Euros this year. Perhaps behind only France. And we don't just say this because they're a star-studded team. Yes, they have the players, but they also have the experience, having reached the final the last time out. They also have fresh hunger because they want to go a step further than they did 3 years ago. But the most important thing we've noticed is that the coach seems to have a different mentality going into this tournament. You see, before now it had always been so easy to predict Gareth Southgate's squads. There were some people he just always called up, no matter how terrible their club form was. Harry Maguire, Calvin Phillips, Mason Mount, Jack Grealish, Jordan Henderson, Marcus Rashford and Raheem Sterling could have all been terrible for their clubs in the previous season, but Southgate would always call them up. However, this time around, all that changed. The gaffer didn't call up any of those guys because they weren't so great with their clubs in the just concluded season. His call-up this time around was based totally on merit, and that's why we're seeing less known names like Anthony Gordon, Eberiki Eze, Bobby Mainu, Mark Gahey and Adam Wharton in the squad. That's why Crystal Palace are the team with the most players in the England squad. And that's why we think the England boss might really be up to something this time. The only people in the squad you can say that didn't deserve a call-up are Aaron Ramsdale and Luke Shaw. And, well, we all know Ramsdale won't play, and in Shaw's case, Southgate already admitted that it was a gamble.
Why won't Ramsdale play? Who's this Ramsdale fella? Aaron Ramsdale. Okay. He was born in 1998. That makes me feel really old. Okay, so I'm starting to understand. The manager calls up players from all the teams in England. In October 2023, England secured qualification to Euro 2024 with 2 games remaining. During the qualification campaign, England recorded their first home and away victories over Italy since 1977 and 1961. Wow. England finished top of their qualification group as they remained unbeaten throughout the calendar year. I'm still confused. What's this?
What's up, guys? The Snowman here. Really exciting time in the football calendar right now as the
An
2024 European Championships quickly approaching. In today's video, we're going to go over the format of the prestigious competition that is the Euros. So things like how often it occurs, how many teams
Okay.
compete,
This is the stuff I need to
qualification,
know.
group stage, knockout stage, schedule, everything
Dumb
to get you
American
pumped
stuff.
for the Euros. So what is the UEFA European Championship, also referred to as the Euro or Euros? Essentially, it's the main football tournament organized by the Union of European Football Associations, or UEFA for short.
Okay.
It's a competition that's contested by the senior men's national teams to determine the continental champion of Europe. So basically, it's the main international football tournament in Europe, kind of like the FIFA World Cup, but only open to European countries.
Okay.
Each continent or football confederation has their own tournament that they organize where nations battle it out for continental glory, Copa America for South America, Gold Cup for North America, etc. This is simply the main national tournament in Europe. The Euros were first played back in 1960, and since then the competition
and it's played every 4 years, I bet.
every 4 COVID-19. It started out as just a 4-team competition back in 1960.
Look at this Russian fella's face. What an interesting looking person. He reminds me of Davy from Davy and Goliath. Yeah? Wow, he's all grown up.
Then the number increased to 8 teams in 1980, 16 in 96 until Euro 2016. That was the first edition with 24 teams competing, and that's the number of teams at least through 2032, 24 European nations battling for continental supremacy at the Euros. Now you might be wondering, how do we arrive at those 24 teams at the final event? Well, in the 2 years leading up to the Euros, we have an extended qualification process to whittle it down. How qualifying works is that we take our 55 countries that are a part of the European Football Confederation, or UEFA. We exclude whichever country is the Euro host nation, since they qualify automatically.
Okay,
and then
so that's
the other
Germany,
54 teams are split up into 10 groups of 5 or 6 teams each. This is an example of the groups for Euro 2024 qualification. Every team plays the others in their group twice each, once at home and once on the road. Wins are worth 3 points, draws are 1, losses are 0. At the end of qualifying, the top 2 teams with the most points in each group qualify for the final competition. And then we also have 3 qualifying slots for teams outside of the top 2 in their group. A nation can qualify via the playoff. The teams that gain access to this UEFA playoff avenue are based on their standing in the UEFA Nations League. Just know that for certain European nations, even if they don't finish in the top 2 in qualifying, they still have this back-channel playoff route to make it into the final tournament. Once we have our final 24 teams all set, then the real fun begins. UEFA conducts a draw where all countries are placed into a final group, just like with the World Cup. This draw typically takes place in the December leading up to the Euro final tournament the following summer. Teams are seeded according to their rankings throughout qualifying, drawn out of pots and placed into one of 6 groups having 4 teams each. There's always a big spectacle made out of the final draw process. This is an example of the final groups for Euro 2024. Again, 6 groups of 4 nations. The final tournament is played in the summertime, usually 1 month long throughout June and July. In terms of the format of the final tournament, we have a group stage plus a knockout stage, very similar to how the World Cup is set up. For the group stage, every team plays the others in their group once, so all countries guaranteed to play at least 3 matches.
Teams play others in the group once, and then the top 2 teams in each group, plus the top 4 and top 4 third place teams. Okay.
Within the host nation, which is selected and voted on by UEFA each edition, the top 2 countries from each group in terms of total.
Okay, I probably seem so dumb to you Europeans and British people because I don't. Okay. It reminds me of basketball, American basketball. Okay.
About 28 million euros in prize money and continental glory. One last thing, this is a quick look at the all-time table as of 2020, and Henri Delaney play one final match to determine a champion of Europe along with the coveted Henri Delaney trophy. About 28 million euros in prize money and continental glory. One last thing, this is a quick look at the all-time table as of 2024. These are all the countries that have either won the European Championship or been to the final. 10 different nations have lifted
England's
the
never
trophy.
won.
Germany and Spain, the most successful teams in the history
Germany's
of the
won the
competition.
most.
They've each won the tournament
Only
on three
three?
separate occasions. Italy and France with a pair of titles each. It's funny, the Euros have already been won by 10 different nations, while the World Cup, which is 30 years older, has only been won by 8 different countries. So the Euros definitely seem to be more up for grabs. It seems like you have more shocks, more upsets at the Euros,
It's
like
more
in 2004
even.
when Greece won it all. It's a high-quality football tournament, but also loads of parity, which makes for an extremely entertaining product.
Wow. Okay. Now I understand better. Let's finish watching this Scary Truth About England 2024 changes that nobody's noticing.
So you can see that the man is taking a very different approach to things this time around.
Okay.
He didn't go for the big names. He went for the players in great form who are ready to give their all for the flag. And of course, different fan bases have been making arguments for their favourite players and showing their displeasure that their favourite players weren't taken. Some fans say England will miss Grealish's ability to slow a game down and win set pieces.
Jack Grealish has not had a very good season in terms of output for Manchester City. I accept that. But he's another match winner, Theo. That's a mistake.
No, I think it's the right decision. This year, he's not proven to be good enough.
While others have said
Yeah.
the Three Lions will
Based
miss
on
Rashford's
merit.
speed and X Factor. But the truth is that there's no squad Southgate would have chosen that would have not caused outrage from some fan bases.
That's a good
Where all the
point.
blame's going to go? Gareth Southgate.
Yeah. But rightfully so.
So it's best we just ignore all that. But if
Give
you
him a
look
hug.
at this squad fairly, it actually has everything. You have experience in Kane, Walker, Pickford and Stones. Game winners in Kane, Foden, Bellingham, Saka and Palmer. Creativity in Trent, Saka, Kane and Palmer. Runners in Gordon and Walker. And even difference makers from the bench like Watkins, Bowen and maybe even Palmer depending on who starts.
Okay.
And you know what's crazy? This England squad boasts the current European Golden Shoe winner, Premier League Player of the Season, La Liga Player of the Season, Premier League Playmaker of the Season, Premier League Young Player of the Season,
Wow.
and Champions League Young Player of the Season. What this proves is that quite a number of the players in this squad are used to taking responsibility for their clubs. Those are the players you want on your team going into a major international tournament. Now, another thing English fans will be hoping for is an improvement in set pieces. Penalties have been this nation's Achilles heel on one too many occasions. They lost on penalties against Italy in 2021, against Portugal in the 2006 World Cup,
Those
against
penalties will do it.
Argentina in 1998, against Germany in 1990, against Italy again at Euro 2012, against Portugal in 2004 and against Germany in 1996. Essentially, England do not have a good experience with penalty shootouts at major tournaments.
How do you miss 3 penalties in a fucking row?
Whoa.
Joke! Absolute joke!
But this time around, they look more ready than ever if they get to penalty shootouts. They have 4 players with excellent penalty records for their clubs in Kane, Toney, Palmer and Saka.
How have they been
and
doing
they also
so
have
far?
Foden and Bellingham who have scored high-pressure penalties in the shootout during the Champions League quarter-final. And Pickford is not bad at saving penalties at all. Remember his bottle? He's an excellent shot stopper who kept the second most clean sheets in the
Shot
Premier League
stopper.
this season. And you can always count on the Everton man to save 1 or 2 penalties in a shootout, just like he did against Italy in the Euro 2020 final. So honestly, England look ready to go all the way this time. And like we said earlier, they're huge favourites, perhaps behind only France. And here's the thing, if they both top their groups, England and France cannot meet until the final. And that's surely great news for England, as it was France who knocked them out of the 2022 World Cup. If England can avoid their biggest rivals until the final, that considerably increases their chances of winning the whole thing. And
That's
yes,
true, that's a great
France
point. Yep,
might
yep, yep.
be the favourites if that final does happen, but it's a final, you know, anything can happen. So basically, do not write England off. It might really be coming home this time around.
So they have a lot of great players. Maybe that's why they haven't done well so far, because when you have all these star players put together, they might not be working as a team as well as they normally do because they're used to being out front, being the center of attention and having a bunch of supporters around them. So maybe it's just taking them a minute to kind of find it. That one guy thinks England's going to play Germany and win it all. This guy thinks England's going to play France and win it all. I'm rooting for you, England. You can do this. You got it. Just need to come together as a team and work together. Listen to your coach. As much as a D-bag as you might think he is, listen to your manager. Do what he says. When is the final game? July 14th. I guess another couple weeks. That's exciting. Okay, I'm pumped up, y'all. I'm pumped. This could be great. I feel like I have a better understanding of what's going on, you know? As a dumb American, all you Brits out there who sat through this video, thank you. This probably seemed really simple and pedantic to you, so I appreciate you sticking around to the end. Well, thank y'all for watching this with me, and I'll see you next time. Later.